Yeah, this is Hello Africa. Keep watching AAU TV. Ciao.
Good morning and welcome to the Hello Africa morning show, coming to you live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana, East Legon to be precise. We begin this morning with the top African news. My name is Philemon Edwards. Japanese agribusiness Degas Limited has announced a $100 million investment over the next 4 years to establish Africa's first AI-powered agricultural hub. The funding is intended to scale AI-driven satellite monitoring and precision agriculture techniques to help more than 86,000 smallholder farmers boost yields, reduce risk, and access fair financing, thereby strengthening local value chains, improving food security, and creating jobs for young people. This initiative is a vote of confidence in Ghana's broader agricultural transformation agenda and aligns with the government's focus on leveraging technology to create dignified jobs in rural communities.
Degas Limited has secured major new funding to expand its work with smallholder farmers across the country. The company already supports over 86,000 farmers, helping them cultivate more than 122,000 acres. And this new investment is set to take the impact even further. The focus is on scaling up artificial intelligence and satellite monitoring, giving farmers the tools to boost yields, cut down on risks, and access fair financing. CEO and founder Doga Mukura, who met with President John Dramani Mahama at the Ghana Presidential Investment Forum, said Ghana is showing how technology and a clear national vision can help smallholder farmers thrive. The results so far have been impressive. Incomes have doubled for many farmers on the platform. Repayment rates are at 95%, and Japanese investors are taking notice, calling Ghana's approach a gold standard for agricultural investment in Africa. President Mahama welcomed the announcement, describing it as a strong vote of confidence in Ghana's agricultural transformation agenda. He said this investment will strengthen value chains, connect farmers to markets, and create dignified jobs, especially for young people in rural areas. With this funding, Degas will expand farmer financing, satellite-enabled crop monitoring, and precision agronomy services, all while deepening local partnership to secure Ghana's food future.
Dancehall star Shatta Wale was released on Thursday, August 21, 2025, after meeting bail conditions set by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, in Accra. The artist was detained on Wednesday, August 20, in connection with alleged irregularities involving his 2019 Lamborghini Urus, which investigators suspect may be tied to a U.S. financial scandal and tax breaches in Ghana. He was granted bail of 5 million Ghana cedis after conditions were reviewed, and he has since expressed gratitude to his fans, management, and EOCO officials for their support during the inquiry.
The artist was held on Wednesday, August 20, 2025, after voluntarily appearing with his lawyer, Cephas Brio, to respond to an inquiry involving his yellow 2019 Lamborghini Urus. The luxury car was earlier seized by authorities on suspicion of being linked to a financial scandal in the United States. Investigators are also examining possible breaches of Ghana's tax regulations connected to the vehicle. Initial reports suggested that Shatta Wale had been granted bail of 10 million Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. However, his manager, Samuel Atiobi Ba, also known as Sammy Flex, later clarified that the bail terms were reduced to 5 million cedis. Shortly after his release, Shatta Wale went live on TikTok to reassure fans that he was safe and home. He expressed gratitude to his supporters for standing by him in what he described as one of his most difficult times. He also commended Iyoko staff for what he called their professionalism, singling out Mr. Raymond Acha for his understanding and guidance during the process. The unfolding case has drawn widespread public attention, not only because of Shatta Wale's flamboyant lifestyle, but also due to his status as one of Ghana's most influential and controversial musicians. The investigation continues as authorities work to determine whether the luxury vehicle was acquired through irregular means.
And in our next story, in West Africa, unregulated sexual stimulants are flooding markets and raising urgent public concerns. According to a New York Times investigation, men using these so-called natural remedies are suffering severe side effects, including migraines, life-threatening erections, and increased risk of heart attacks. The products manufactured in India and smuggled into Ivory Coast are marketed under the names like Atote and sold for as little as $1.50 locally, but up to $20 abroad. Officials say the stimulants contain dangerously high levels of active ingredients, often 8 times over the safe limits, and with half of all drugs in the region unregulated, health authorities warn the situation could contribute to hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths each year.
Across West Africa, an alarming health crisis is unfolding as unregulated sexual stimulants flood the market. Products advertised as herbal and 100% natural are turning out to be anything but safe. A report reveals that these artisanal drugs are leaving men with dangerous side effects, from uncontrollable drooling and severe migraines to prolonged and life-threatening erections. In the most extreme cases, they carry a heightened risk of heart attacks. Public health official in Ivory Coast has tested the popular drink Atote and discovered that it contains sildenafil, the active ingredient in Viagra, at levels up to 8 times higher than the recommended dose. Authorities suspended its production earlier this year, citing false advertising and fatal risks. The pills used to make Atote are manufactured in India, smuggled into Ivory Coast, and then crushed and mixed into beverages, sold for just $1.50 locally. The same product appears online through platforms like Amazon and Walmart, retailing for $15 in France and $20 in the United States. The United Nations warned that up to half of all medicines circulating in West Africa are unregulated, contributing to an estimated 500,000 deaths annually. Sexual stimulants like Atote remains among the most frequently reported in these cases, a worrying sign that demand continues despite mounting health dangers.
In Somalia, 3 former presidents, Sharif Sheikh Ahmed, Abdulkazim Salat Hassan, and Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo have for the first time issued a joint statement in Mogadishu denouncing President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud's government for unlawfully transferring and selling public land. The ex-leaders argue the process bypassed legal oversight and state treasury protocols, leading to forced evictions in Tarabunka. Their warning calls for businesses and citizens to reject such transactions, citing threats to governance, accountability, and the nation's fragile political stability.
Sharif Sheikh Ahmed, Abdulkasim Salat Hassan, and Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo released a joint statement accusing the government of unlawfully transferring and selling public land. They allege that many of this disposal bypassed the National Contracts Agency, ignored the requirements for lands to be declared surplus, and failed to channel proceeds into the state treasury. The former leaders warned that these actions are resulting in forced evictions, destabilizing communities, and eroding public trust. They cited recent clashes in Tarabunka, where rival security functions confronted one another, as a dangerous example to government overreach. Their letter also urged businesses and the public not to participate in these purchases of such properties, labeling this transaction as illegitimate and high risk. Civil society groups and public analysts have welcomed the intervention, describing it as a strong call for accountability. This unprecedented joint stance by Somalia's surviving ex-president underscores deepening concerns over governance and the stability of nations' fragile democracy.
And in our final story, the Trump administration announced on Thursday that it is reviewing more than 55 million valid U.S. visas to identify potential violations that could lead to deportation. The nationwide review taking place in the United States and abroad comes as part of a broader crackdown on immigration, with officials citing national security, public safety, and visa overstays as key reasons. The process, which involves continuous vetting of records, social media accounts, and law enforcement data, will be carried out by the United States State Department, marking one of the most extensive immigration checks in recent history.
The Trump administration has launched one of the most sweeping immigration reviews in U.S. history, examining more than 55 million valid visas for potential violations that could result in deportation. According to the State Department, all visa holders, including tourists, students, and workers, are now subject to continuous vetting. Officials say the process checks law enforcement databases, immigration records, and even social media activity to flag potential ineligibility. If violations are uncovered, visas will be revoked, and those inside the United States will face removal. Since President Donald Trump took office, his administration has intensified efforts to tighten immigration controls. The State Department reports that more visas have been revoked since Inauguration Day, including nearly 4 times as many student visas compared to the same period last year. Officials add that infractions include overstays, criminal activity, threats to public safety, and links to terrorism. The new measures mark a significant expansion from earlier policies, which largely targeted students engaged in activity deemed anti-Israel or pro-Palestinian. Now, the checks apply to all visa categories and cover citizens from countries outside the U.S. Visa waiver program including China, India, Russia, Indonesia, and most of Africa. State Department officials say the effort underscores the administration's commitment to protecting national security and public safety, though critics argue it could cause uncertainty for millions of legal visitors in the country.
And that's all for our top African news. Stay tuned, we'll be back with news discussion.
Explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
Hello Africa, keep watching AAU TV.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
Welcome back to the Hello Africa morning show from that break. And just gone past is the top African news. If you missed that, we are discussing a few stories just across the African continent. And right now, we are just about to begin the news review. And we are discussing a number of issues from Ghana into East Africa, and then all across the continent. Very interesting stories. And in the first story for today in our news discussion, it's very interesting. We are going to be dealing with the EOCO, that is the Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office. Okay, in this year, there's been a number of issues coming from EOCO, and it's been either one popular or influential person being invited to assist investigations, and issues are discussed behind closed doors at some point, somehow, some way. Some of these people are supposed to, or they are detained, if I should say, because of the investigations that are going on. But in this story right now, we are going to be discussing cars, okay, issues related to stolen cars. And it's a major statement that has been released by EOCO. So the question is, if you're buying a car from any kind of a dealership in Ghana, we do know you'd either have an official dealership in the country, or most often you would walk into any garage to make a purchase of any kind of car of your choice. What do you do when you go to buy cars? Are you aware of the particular documents you are supposed to be looking out for when it comes to the details of the car? Do you know if the car that comes in, or the car that you are buying, is stolen, or it was properly purchased from wherever it was imported from? I mean, what are the procedures? This is what we want to go into, and then we'll discuss further. And you can send your comments, and the numbers will be scrolling up on your screen, so you can join the conversation whilst we talk about this issue and many more. So Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office has released a red flag list of vehicles mostly commonly intercepted in the country as part of its crackdown on stolen cars. Okay, and the list includes Honda CR-Vs, the Ford F-150s, Range Rovers, and then the Dodge models, which EOCO officials warned are frequently smuggled into the country. So if you drive any of these cars, my question to you is, how did you get this car? Most likely, yes, you purchased it, but how did you purchase it? Did you purchase it by yourself to import personally into the country? Did you go to an approved dealership, or did you go to any garage of any regular business owner or car dealer that sells cars? If you did, probably go to just any garage. What documents did you look out for when you were purchasing this car? How did you, go about the inspection? Do you know if the document you saw was an original copy of what you are supposed to be looking out for, or if it's a fake document? These are the kind of things that EOCO is talking about, because these cars that are being flagged, if you drive in Accra, the capital of Ghana, these are cars that are increasingly becoming popular on our streets, okay? Particularly, again, on the list, the Honda CR-Vs, the Ford F-150s, the Range Rovers, and then the Dodge, notably the Dodge Ram. These vehicles, we can safely see, are in the high end, probably aside the Honda CR-V, which is a mid-range SUV, which is quite also a very popular vehicle on the streets of Accra especially. And the particular thing about these vehicles I have noticed is that often they come with what we call the DV plates or the DP plates. DV means direct, a defective vehicle, and then DP means direct from ports. So basically it means these vehicles are not officially licensed by the DVLA yet, but these plates allows you to drive it under certain circumstances, and then when you have sold to the person who wants to buy it, then they can probably register it or whatever they want to do with it. Okay, so you find some of these vehicles under these kinds of registrations. A few of them have already been licensed legally by the DVLA, and they are in use. So if you are a buyer, what do you look out for when you go to buy? And again, the very ones that are often popular on the streets are the newer versions. We're in the year 2025, so often you are seeing the models from the 2023, 2024, 2025 models. So in the general space or general populace, the conversations that go on, especially if you travel by public transport, conversations that are going on is that are people that rich in the country. For example, the 2024 Honda CRV is already almost popular or common on the street. Probably out of every 20, 40, 50 cars you count on the street, you might find a Honda CRV bypassing you or just next to you when you're sitting in traffic. So these vehicles, are they too good to be true, such that they have been released just about a year ago or 2 years ago and they are already on the market? Yet a chunk of the people or the masses do complain that the economy is still not at its best, even though it has improved slightly, but we are still yet to see a proper feel of it in our pocket. So how are people able to afford these kinds of cars? Okay, so if you are purchasing a car beyond all of these brands we have talked about, let's look at other brands. It doesn't necessarily mean that your regular other brands like a Corolla, like an Elantra, or a Toyota Vitz, a Kia Rio, a Kia Cerato, whatever you may want to call it, a less expensive brand, it does not also guarantee or warrant that these cars may not be stolen. Okay, so like I'm saying, what do you look out for? Do you even know that the document you're supposed to be looking out for when you go to purchase a car at any garage? So most importantly, when it comes to policy, the question is this: do you think there should be tighter regulations or mandatory Interpol clearances over every vehicle import? This question is key because, first of all, before a car comes into the country, it leaves the country of origin, so to speak, probably even if it's not manufactured there, but wherever it's being moved from, there's a process it goes through. There's a bill of lading and whatever, every document that covers these cars when it comes to shipping. Okay, and the shipping lines also do their due diligence, I believe, before the cars are packed into a container, put on the high seas, travel several weeks into Africa and Ghana, to be specific. When it gets here, at our port of entry, there is the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, who is in charge of that. They work closely with the GRA and the Customs Division. These are the people who are managing the space when it comes to imports and exports of commodities and goods into our country. Okay, and I believe other countries in Africa or every other country has similar bodies taking care of this kind of thing. So should that be a tighter policy coming from the government or the ministry or whoever is responsible, or these various bodies I've mentioned, when it comes to these things? Because it is a shame and an issue of security for me, if you ask me, if these vehicles come into the country and then now we are going to be asking IOCO and probably the police or Interpol to be chasing after these vehicles on our streets when they are already, let me say, comfortable driving on the streets of Accra and any other streets in the country. Is there something lacking in there when it comes to policy, such that these vehicles that come in evade all these processes and then they, finally get on our streets? And then, I don't know what your take is, but it's a big deal when it comes to policy. But my biggest question remains, is the average Ghanaian sufficiently informed about the risk of buying an imported vehicle? Those of you who import your own vehicles, I know some of you do that. You instead of going through or going to a garage to make your own purchase or going through an agent, you probably just go online, find your own vehicle, contact a shipping line, you ship your car, it comes here, you're tracking already, you go to the port, you do the due diligence, pay duty, whatever else you need to pay, taxes, and then eventually your car is delivered to you. What do you go through? If you have such experience, we'll be glad to know. Just send us a message and we'll look at it. Now, still on the security issues, at the point of entry, are our borders safe? I've been talking so far about just the port of entry, which is the Tema Harbour. Okay, there's also some other points of entry into the country, Ghana, where vehicles do come from our neighboring country, Togo. I do know there are policies that cover vehicles purchased in Togo. Arguably, people claim vehicles sold in that part of the African continent is a bit cheaper. So they'll prefer to go there to make a purchase, and then they'll import into the country via that port of entry. I mean, are our borders safe when it comes to interception of vehicles before they reach the markets? And one other big question also is this: the people who manage or own garages, what due diligence do you do? For example, if I am a dealer, I sell cars, and I have cars coming into the country, and I contact you, what due diligence will you do with me to be sure that the vehicles I'm supplying to you are not stolen vehicles, and they do not have any red flags, such that when they come into your garage, you can easily sell? There are times when some of you garage owners also, sell on behalf of other car owners. So I import my cars, you have a garage, I come into your garage and do some sort of negotiation with you. I keep my cars there. You sell for me, I give you a certain percentage. I mean, how do you know that my cars are safe? What due diligence do you do? Okay, so these are the questions surrounding vehicles that come into the country. I've already listed for you the vehicles that have been flagged by IOCO, which includes the Honda CR-Vs, the Ford F-150s, the Range Rovers, and then the Dodge, notably the Dodge Ram. Okay, in this range of vehicles, 3 of them fall in the luxury category, and then the Honda CR-V is a semi-luxury one, is a mid-range SUV. So if you're purchasing any of these vehicles, what due diligence will you be doing? How would you know that the car that you're purchasing, if you're not importing it by yourself, and you go just into any garage, or you see a vendor online or a seller online, and you contact this person, how do you know that this vehicle that you are purchasing, is not a stolen vehicle and does not have any red flags? Because personally, I do know 1 or 2 people who were driving themselves and their families. One was going to church, going to a function. It was a Friday morning, and this person stopped randomly because on that stretch of the road there were DVLA officials and some customs and GRA people randomly stopping cars and checking documents of the vehicles to be sure that the vehicle that's being driven has no problems. And this person is stopped. There's some interrogation that goes on, and in the next 15 to 20 minutes that this person is kept and asked questions. Eventually, this person is unable to attend his events because they've got to drive the car elsewhere to, get into some sort of investigation, before later the car is released, because then later the issue was cleared. So if you don't want this kind of, I won't call it embarrassment, but definitely it's going to be a thing that is going to affect your time or your plan for the day. Probably you're driving somewhere and then something of the sort happens. So what would you do if you're in that situation? So if you want to avoid this kind of situations, what due diligence do you have to do? These are things we need to learn before we get into, discuss and drive comfortably and all of these kinds of things. So send me your comments if you have such an experience, and then we can discuss further on these kinds of things, and particularly the ethical considerations. As much as I've been talking about the ports which is manned by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, who work closely with the customs people, some GRA people. I mean, all of these people in there, you as an importer or as a business person who's bringing in your car, what part do you have to play? It is a shared responsibility, because the bigger story here is that Interpol is in this situation. We know Interpol is the international police. What it means is that we are going to be having other, people from outside the country looking into this story. And as a matter of fact, before you know it, it's a subject of discussion, and it's going to be a major problem. We do not want the country to be, a hub for stolen vehicles. Okay, Ghana has a reputation to be, protected, and so we would want to keep it as that. All right, so we'll go on a short break, and then when we come back, Dr. Agyeman Okyerdakoŋ will be joining me for further discussions on this and other issues. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Are you interested in empowering your university through digital storytelling? AAU TV is organizing an intensive 4-day masterclass, a program designed to transform how your university tells its story. Join us from September 9 to 12 this year at the Association of African Universities headquarters in Accra, Ghana, where you will immerse yourself in hands-on training sessions, receive one-on-one feedback from award-winning communication experts, and explore state-of-the-art media facilities. Learn practical digital media production and storytelling techniques to create impactful educational content. Connect with peers, exchange ideas, and walk away with actionable strategies to boost your university's digital presence. Secure your spot today by registering for the AAU TV's masterclass and lead a future of higher education through digital media.
Hello Africa, keep watching AAU TV.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks. This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks. This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
All right, you're welcome back from that quick break. And like I said, Dr. Agyeman Okyerdakoŋ is here with me. Doc, it's good to have you.
So great to have you also with me here.
How was your weekend?
It was a good one.
Great.
Yeah.
You look rested.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I was saying earlier, we were discussing, or I was sharing my opinion on EOCO's statement about red flags on a certain range of cars that have come into the country, particularly the Honda CR-V, the Ford F-150, the Dodge brand, and then the Range Rovers. They have raised some flags about these cars. The issue is this: many of these cars, or some of these cars that have come into the country, have been tagged as stolen cars from wherever they are coming from.
Yeah.
And so it's becoming an issue of concern because Interpol is looking into this matter seriously. And that's why EOCO has taken this up. What do you think is the issue that's allowing stolen cars to come into the country? First of all, how come these cars are stolen and then they pass through all of these systems from where they're coming from and they get into this country, and until they get here, nobody's able to flag them?
I mean, it's important, and let me start by saying that kudos to the Economic and Organized Crime Office in Ghana for studying the data trend. They have been awoken by some of these activities, and they have looked at the data over the years that we have realized that some vehicles have been imported, and over time they have been flagged as stolen vehicles. And you ask, why is this the case? Because over many years, Ghana has been a hub for vehicle imports, especially vehicles from the US. We have so many dealerships, both in the country and out of the country, who are engrossed into the business of shipping vehicles, salvage vehicles, or slightly accident vehicles. So it's a business, you know. And in Ghana, for the past 10 years, person vehicle use has increased. If you look at the data, we have doubled our use of vehicles. Some will say due to economic boost, but whatever that it is, people using vehicles today compared to what it was 10 years ago has changed. Today it's easier to import a vehicle because there are so many platforms, the likes of the SBS, the Japanese who have made vehicle importation so easy. The likes of VIT, the Toyota VIT and Co are all over town because Japan, US, China are all into the importation, and it's now easier than it was then. The bureaucracy that you have to go through to import a vehicle is 10 times less at this time. So today you had to go online, find a dealer, pay your money or pay half, the vehicle is shipped in. Or you even have dealers over there who are helping you ship it. So it's now easier to acquire a vehicle these days overseas. So if you look at the influx of this activity, then the bad people would always find a way to infiltrate. The car business or the car importation business in Ghana is booming. It has doubled its rate. And therefore, why don't we also find a way to infiltrate it from legitimate to what? Illegitimate. How do we do it? Well, if I can sell to you which cars in Ghana are the most hot or of fleek or the most sought after. Everybody wants a Range Rover these days. Everybody's looking for the CRVs, one of the most sought after SUVs in town. The Dodge, the Rams. So if you look at these vehicles, they are some are luxury vehicles. I mean, they're all luxury vehicles. The Rams, the Dodge, the CRV, they are kind of like in the luxury space. So the bad people will just find a way and steal a vehicle in the US, and then they will ship it down. You were saying earlier that what do you do if you were a buyer? I think that it all boils down on the buyer. For I would say the garage owners, you can't trust every garage owner. Some of them are clean. Some too indulge in these illegalities. They are aware that these vehicles shipped in are not salvage or accident free, or they are not for the factory. They are stolen. They know. But because of the profit they want to earn, they will indulge and they will sell. On the other hand, the buyer, you are the end user. So your goodwill matches all. Your good faith should be outstanding and uncompromisable. If my goodwill is 100%, if I go to buy a vehicle, I ask questions. Is this vehicle accident free or salvaged? One. If I see that it's too new, I mean, it's too fresh to be in the country at that price, I have to ask questions. Because if I overlook all these things, and one day I'm stopped by the police, and they say this vehicle is flagged by Interpol as a stolen vehicle, I have no excuse. Because I did not do any due diligence. So the buyer should be aware. It all boils down on you, the buyer, because at the end of the day, you are going to be the one driving this vehicle. And if the police decepts you and they say, this vehicle you are driving is Interpol red flagged as stolen, it is your fault. So the buyer should be aware.
Well, I guess that your guess is as good as mine. So like I said earlier, it's a shared responsibility. The garage owner or whoever the dealership belongs to has their part to play, but you, the end user, also has your part to play. We'll go right into our next story, and the Ghana Education Service has directed all first-year senior high school students in both single-track and transitional schools to report on Saturday, October 18th, 2025. Now, this is in line with the newly approved 2025-2026 academic calendar, which includes detailed term dates holidays, and implementation guidelines. Regional and school heads are to ensure strict adherence. All right, now in this story, I'm very happy to note that the trajectory of it is such that the government is trying to reset the educational system such that there's not going to be the double track thing in the system anymore. I don't know what, first of all, your view about the double track thing was, okay, and then what you think about it compared to what we used to have, okay, because there didn't used to be that kind of a thing, but now we have a double track system where some people go to school for a number of weeks or months and then they come home, and it's funny how the vacations are longer sometimes than the amount of time you spend in school. It's interesting. I don't know what you think about this.
So I think that we should set the word straight for people to appreciate what it is. Let's actually appreciate also the trajectory of the senior high school cycle.
Yeah.
You remember in 2012, there was a time where there was the 3-year batch.
Yeah.
And then we had the 4-year batch, which was quite close. So the 2012 batch was a 4-year batch. The 2011 batch was a 3-year batch.
Yeah.
When they ended 3 years, the other batch preceding them or behind them had to now go 1 extra year because there were concerns about the assimilation of the curricula and how the curricula could be utilized fully and optimal consumption of the curricula, because we realized that teachers were not able to teach everything within the time space because it's not only classroom, there are other extra and co-curricular activities that had to occur. So for us to maximize the curricula and help students acquire the best of knowledge, they had to be given that 4-year stream.
Yeah.
To some people, it was so much time in school. To some others, it's so much time to pay school fees in school.
Yeah.
But to the teachers and the academicians, it was a time for you to acquire enough knowledge to transcend to the next level. Everybody seems to have an opinion in this case.
Yeah.
When it comes to higher education or our education stream or every phenomenon in this life, everybody has an opinion. But who advises or whose advice ought to be taken? In 2016, down 17, 18, 19, we realized, or let's say the government realized, that there was a gap in infrastructure, which was advised by the previous government. I mean, our politics forbids us to listen. And these are the ramifications or the effects. But it was advised that if you open or if you massify senior high school, you get more people in the stream. But you cannot accommodate all of them. Even the classrooms to keep them will be a problem. Do you have the infrastructure to do that?
Very good question.
The goal of the government was to senior high school now. So the government had to bring in all the students and then use that period. So continuously, as it's patching away and finding a way to break them into segments and sections, develop other infrastructure. It got to a point. Now, these ideas of a single track, a double track, means that we'll have a parallel system whereby some people be going in shifts. You go in the morning, I go in the evening. You do a 3 months, quick 3 months. You go home, spend like 3 months at home. Then I do 3 months in your stead. Just find a way to manage the system just to get things going. It also had its own concerns and opinions. Some said, well, students coming home for an unusual vacation of 3 months is very serious. They can get pregnant, they can do that. I mean, lots of things were happening. But the goal was, how do we keep education in motion? Today, GES has thought through and said, how do we keep education in motion? Then we are going to do the single track, and then what we call the double modular, or something they call the double modular track system. So it's not like the double track system is completely scrapped, but they call it a double track modular system. And you would want to appreciate what that will be. When they say then we do a single track and then another one we call the double track modular system means that we will still find a way to get one stream going their own way, and then we see how we can transition some remaining persons within the system off the stream using the double system. My concern or my thought is that is the best they can do based on the conditions they have.
Exactly. I agree with you on that.
Everybody has to think through and see what they have to do. Can I advise GES? Am I in the capacity to do that? I don't know. But GES has its own council of executives who have seen the previous system, who have seen the current system, and have advised that, well, we can do with these two systems.
Yeah.
We can't completely say we are doing a single track because we haven't got all that it takes to do so.
Yeah.
Some people will have to lead the system right away. Some too have some few time to spend. Some too are fresh. For the freshers, they will go through the single track because they are fresh. It's a fresh stream.
Yeah.
But for the remaining ones in the system, to manage them and help them transcend, we would have to pair them along in what we call the double track modular system.
Yeah, and I think that's where the major of the problem will be at this time, because you must make sure these people are managed so that they are phased out. Then this first years who are beginning this new cycle would keep it going, and then those who are coming in will also feed in like that. So the current ones, the year 2s and 3s, will face the whole thing out. One of the biggest challenges I've had over the years, okay, I've always said this thing to my friends anytime we're having this kind of a conversation, that if I ever had a chance to be president, there are certain sectors of the government I'll say nobody should touch, or would invite whoever the stakeholders are and
as the experts,
and then talk about a 20 or 50-year plan which nobody should touch, irrespective of the political party you belong to. Number 1 is finance, number 2 is health, number 3 is education. Because over the years, we have seen from former President Kufuor's time, when secondary school always had to be, it was 3 years then. I mean, we have from way back A-levels gone, then secondary school was now 3 years, and then suddenly when President Kufuor came, they said it was 2.5 years. So for somebody like me, I had to go through the 2.5 year. Then it was brought to 3 years. Then now they said 4 years.
4 years.
Now, and we have the double track thing. Like, it's a whole lot of things. And politically, okay, we know many of these people, because of whatever, I don't know, whatever it is, they don't even have many of their awards going through these kinds of systems. So it feels like they are just politically toying with the system, and then they leave the masses to deal with these kinds of problems. But somehow, some way, because most people are determined, they come out eventually. But my problem is how we mess things up, and then we come back and we are spending a lot of money to try to restructure these things. That's what my challenge has been when it comes to these sectors I mentioned, especially education. Okay, because if you are educating even these people who eventually will take up the reins to manage this country someday, we can't be so, I don't know the word to use for it. We can't stoop that low to give them this kind of education, okay, through a system of this nature, and then eventually we expect them to be the great leaders we assume they are supposed to be when it is their time to take over the reins of the country. I don't know if anybody thinks deeply about these problems or these decisions that they come up with. I don't have a problem with policies, but if the policy is going to be done, do they invite the proper stakeholders to discuss it and look at the long term, not just a political short and medium term, because I'm in the office now, I need to do something for the people to know that, okay, I'm delivering on my campaign promises or what I said or think I am doing. People, I'm sorry, sometimes manage the country like it's their private business.
Yeah, sometimes.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big deal for me. Yeah. But one of the key questions you asked that I completely agree with you is there enough infrastructure to support this idea?
Yeah, because definitely, GES calls it the double track modified system. So it's double track, but they are modifying because they want to transition that school of pupils who have to leave the system.
Yeah.
Now, even if GES abolishes double track, if they abolish it, the numbers will not change.
Yeah.
When I say numbers will not change, through Free Senior High School, many students were able to flood the senior high school space.
Yeah.
A lot of people got access. So access was widened. The ratio was widened. But will it change without free senior high school? It will not. Because free senior high school was, even though it was a policy that induced more enrollment, it's also a psychological way to boost people interest in schools.
Yeah.
So today, parents are now more informed to ensure that whether free senior high school or not, you must go to school.
Yeah.
So numbers will still increase. Was there enough extra blocks of classrooms built during the 8 years of the previous government?
Exactly.
To be enough to sustain a single track? If not, then a modified double track will be the best.
Yeah.
So it may not be the initial double track, but a modified one means that it has gone through some revisions or some adjustments, and that causes to be modified.
Yeah.
So therefore, we'll have some new changes. Maybe the vacation will be cut short. If it was 3 months, it will be 2 months.
Yeah.
Or they'll do some parallel works. But I think the dates have been shared. The next batch is coming on board. The detail is out there within the schedules. If you got the circular on the page, you can get a copy of the circular out online as well.
Yeah.
But the data are there to help all these work. It may not look all seamless. I mean, I can guarantee you there would be challenges. GES will face one or two things here and there.
Yeah.
But they should stay positive, strong, and ensure that whatever they said to do, they will do.
Yeah.
But the goal is we should find ways and means to widen or enhance our infrastructure so that students will have more rooms to learn.
Yeah.
And then the double track system that has its own effect can be curtailed to a minimal level. At least it could be curtailed to a minimal level because the numbers are huge these days.
Yeah.
The calls for these ideas or these innovations.
I certainly agree with you. The other thing I'm concerned about also is the compliance and monitoring of this thing, because we are trying to re-strategize, or the GS is trying to re-strategize and make sure these things work properly. This means a lot more hard work because there's already a system in place and we are trying to modify, meaning that we are trying to get the best out of this. So I'm more concerned about the compliance and the monitoring, because the truth of the matter is that GES is a body that regulates this space, but the schools have a greater responsibility. The headmasters, the district directors of GES and all, like the greater responsibility lies on these people, because if the heads sit in their headquarters and make these things and send out circulars, hold briefings, whatever, meetings, and they send out this memos, letters, emails, whatever, and it gets to this district directors, the headmasters, whatever. Like, that is where my key issue is, because you and I are not going to be in those schools. These people, or the people who matter, who have taken this decision for a better future, are not going to be in these schools. So the compliance is really key. If we don't, my concern, like I've already mentioned, is that we need to make sure that these people, we all know what secondary cycle education does to the individual when you're growing up. If you've grown up in a secondary cycle institution, you will know what it does to you as a person. Like, it's every level of our educational system is so important, but we know what secondary education does.
It's a turning point.
It's a turning point. And that's how you get into the university, and then basically your life has started. So if a lot is not right at this stage, I'm afraid for what will happen in the future, because my concern is these people will grow up to come and take over the reins of the country in ruling and doing stuff.
And that thought also meets mine in the point that if there's any, because this cannot be run without investments.
Exactly.
Government will still, even though we're doing the single track / the modified double track system, there ought to be some investments. And these investments should go to the rural areas.
Very key.
I always say.
Very key.
Because, I mean, there are some senior high schools who are already enough. I mean, they have got enough. They have got what it takes to house the students. But we have got some, if you go to some rural areas, how would it be? Because, I mean, we still have schools under trees, schools under scrubbed roofs. I mean, you don't, very dilapidated environment. And you ask yourself, how can we progress? So if there's any monetary evaluation or lend that has to be assessed from this activity, it should start from the rural areas where there's less to possess, where they have less resources. They should be supported, they should be held up, and then let's see how they can also go through that. If they are they score very well within the bunch evaluation. Then you can see the ones in the suburban and urban areas would also fall in line.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, on that note, we'll move on to our next story, and we'll talk a little bit about sports here. Yeah, I'm sure if you are following sports in Africa, you know by now that the CHAN tournament is ongoing currently, and for the first time is being organized by 3 Eastern African countries, or being hosted rather. It's organized by CAF and hosted by 3 African countries. That's Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. And what is interesting about this year's tournament is that all of these 3 countries have made it into the quarters, and they are almost up there. So the conversation is this: who is going to be at the top when they get into the semifinals? Is any of these countries going to, get into the finals? Okay, so I mean, this is what is happening at the moment in Africa. This, and for those of you who don't know, obvious, the CHAN is basically, let's say, the AFCON, the local version of the AFCON, where you have, let's say, indigenous players. For example, if Ghana is taking part in the CHAN, what it means is that all the players who are going to be in the CHAN tournament from Ghana are coming from the local league. That's what's happening with the CHAN. Then there's the AFCON, where you have if your Black Stars, for example, having the mix of every kind of player, both local and the professional players playing abroad, coming together to form a team. That's the difference, if just for educational purposes. So the CHAN is going on right now, and I am glad that 3 countries are able to host this. And for me, it's a big deal because when it comes to collaborations in Africa, it does go on, but you don't hear so much about it. So for CAF to give this responsibility to these 3 countries, and they have brilliantly executed so far, because the stadiums, if you follow the matches, they are not always full, but for the fact that these are local teams, the attendance for me is really, really impressive. And I'm just excited about the organization and the relationship between these 3 countries. That's the key thing for me. I don't know what you think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start by lauding the CAF for this idea. I mean, it's been there for a long time, since 2009.
Yeah.
But if you realize what you mentioned, it's given that exposure to the domestic players who are in domestic leagues.
Yeah.
Because they haven't got a chance to play before the world stage, and who knows their talents, and it's also their time for them to shine.
Yeah.
So it's a very important tournament that is held by CAF to ensure that these 2 people who are playing in domestic leagues also get to be seen, their skill be seen. At least they can also rise up to a different level for them to get that notification. And moving on to the 3 countries held on hosting, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. So CAF actually has this notion that it is using these 3 countries as a test run for the CAF 2027.
Okay, well.
So that's so CAF wants to, the next CAF would be going East Africa.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Okay, I get you now.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
We've always had it in Central, Western,
Yeah.
but now CAF wants to go East Africa.
Yeah.
So Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda are doing a test run through the CHAN to see their capability and capacity to host a probable CAF tournament in 2027. So that's one very important thing that we also look forward to earmark from this one, that if it goes very well, they may be the probable host, the same host, KTU. I call it the KTU effect. So the Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda effect. And they are actually close.
Yeah.
In Central East Africa, you can think of classifying them in some part of Central East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. But all together, they are in East Africa, and they are together. And if they're able to execute this CHAN very well, we can say that 2027 will be a KTU effect.
Yeah, I like where you began this issue, from where the players who are in the domestic leagues get to be recognized. Because you just reminded me of an interview we did a few months ago with Rahim Ayu and this
Rahim,
place.
yeah.
And he did share his story, and rightly so. He was identified to be a member of the Black Stars when he played in the Chan tournament.
Okay.
When Ghana featured in I think that was in 2008 or 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the last was Samoan also. I think they were very young.
Yeah.
They were all passed to the Chan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So particularly about Rahim, he that was where he got recognized, and then he got into the Black Star squad, and that's how come he made a 2010 squad into that World Cup that happened in South Africa. So I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for the domestic players, and I've always said when it comes to football that the quality of football in Africa has to improve.
Yes.
And when you give the local players the CAF exposure, it's a different feeling, because they get to know that I'm not playing in my country. So my viewership or my audience is not limited to my country only. Now Africa is watching me. I have the chance to make a statement for myself, and by so doing, I could get into the bigger team of my country, or any other team anywhere in the world could say that I want you to come play for me. That's the big thing for me, and I'm so happy that it's creating this kind of opportunity. And also about the KTU effect you're talking about, like, it's a great thing. And going into 2027, we'll see how this thing rolls out. But it also, for me, makes a big deal when you talk about the World Cup, which is happening next year, Mexico, United States, Canada. Like,
absolutely,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's becoming a trend these days where we are pairing countries.
Yeah,
to
so I think FIFA is doing something, and I just hope that beyond football, Africa would begin to understand that we need to start doing a lot of things together. We need that synergy when it comes to the continent. I appreciate that every country individually has to grow, but sometimes there's something that you have that I do not have. There's something that I have that you do not have. And if we both come into partnership and we try to put our heads together, there's the chance of being bigger than if you want to do it by yourself, or if I want to do it by myself. And the continent needs to recognize that, and then we work together. So
you know sometimes these parents are based on several ideologies.
Yeah.
Some say it's because of cost sharing. That's why we have to pair two countries so that they can do
but
that.
But it still makes sense because it's economical.
That's one point.
Yeah.
Another point you just mentioned as a spill-off, which is also the unity and integrity that integration that builds between those two countries.
Yeah.
If you look at 2005, the CAF tournament, that was the Ghana Nigeria.
That's 2000. In 2000, Ghana Nigeria was 2000.
Ghana Nigeria, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, because we are closer to Benin and Cote d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso.
Yeah.
But we jumped, FIFA jumped, CAF jumped Benin and picked Nigeria, all from the extreme end.
Yeah.
So that Ghana and Nigeria could hold this down.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it was, we have not been able to partner with a neighboring francophone country to do something like this.
Yeah.
Which I think that should be in CAF's plans.
Yeah.
Cote d'Ivoire is just close to us on our other side.
Yeah.
Let's try and do something together. Cote d'Ivoire, Benin.
Yeah.
Let's partner and then host something.
Yeah.
Because I mean they are so close to us. Yeah, we can't do anything with them. That is no good.
Yeah.
We should in the future.
Yeah.
CAF should be very creative.
Yeah.
And building that synergy through this tournament.
I completely agree. The synergy for Africa for me is a big deal. I believe we can go stronger as a continent. All right. Now, I don't know if you're a lover of arts. Are you a lover of arts?
You know, I used to draw when I was in the
my goodness.
School. My arts were always scored 5 over 10. 5 over 10.
But
I never got 9.
That's not bad. That's actually average.
I was doing my best, you know.
Well, I'm not an artist anyway, but I do like to see beautiful pictures and all of that. Now, in our next story, there's a family that's making waves and in the UAE, and it's interesting that they've been able to carry whatever they are doing into the United Arab Emirates. So let me get into the details. So in the heart of Dubai's bustling cultural scene, a Ghanaian family has created something extraordinary. A space where contemporary African arts, history, and something extraordinary. A space where music comes together and to tell story on a global stage. Now, this space is called Ife Gallery, and that's what I like about it. They have given it the Ghanaian touch, Ife Gallery, and it's more than just an art gallery. It is a vision brought to life by 3 family members by name Valentina, Kwame, and then Kobe Minta, who turned a passion for African creativity into a platform for global dialogue. And we all know what Ife means. I mean, Ife locally means home in Twi. That's one of Ghana's languages. So that's what this family is doing in the Middle East. And they started this thing from scratch in 2021, and they have established themselves greatly in the Arab Emirates. Now, let me look at this thing from this space. You know, often there's a notion that Africans, even though we have a lot of great artists who do a lot of stuff when it comes to artistry work, a lot of Africans don't appreciate arts. Often you find a lot more foreigners, Europeans and, you know, Americans fancying, you know, these. So when they come into a country for holidays, business, whatever, they are always making sure they are leaving with some form of artifact and they take it back. Not only as a souvenir to show that they came to Africa or Ghana or wherever, but these are things that they really fancy. And I'm sure you know about the culture of art where people go into auctions and then they buy these things for several millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I look at it in a way where a Ghanaian family is unable to do this thing in Ghana. Could it possibly be that they had to go settle and do this in the Gulf region because it is a serious help for business? Because of the African mindset. I mean, that's been my thinking since this story came up.
You know. Let me take it from this point. When last did you visit the arts village in Accra? Or when did you visit any arts village? There's one at Accra.
On the high street.
On the high street. There's also one at Shiashi. If you're getting to the Accra area. Have you ever been to one?
So I will be honest, just to tell you about the African idea. I was there in November.
What took you there?
Good question. I was coming to that. So my in-laws who live in the UK came to Ghana.
You get the point.
And we were together all the time. So they wanted to see some stuff.
It was tourism, right?
So basically, I am so sure, this is me confessing, I am so sure that if they had not come to Ghana and asked that we go there because they wanted to look at some things and make some purchases, I am so sure I would not have been there probably in the last 5 years.
Fair enough. It's understandable. Tourism marketing is one of the courses that have been developed in some of our higher education institutions. Why? Because we are trying to help students to be very smart and entrepreneurial about how they could create tourism and market it. If I created an art village in Ghana, I can tell you that it will not be patronized. Why? Because we live with it. We see it. We are so fond of it. We don't get enthused seeing it. There are so many tourism sites in Ghana that we've been to before that we don't go again because it's all about us. But if we went to the UK, you can tell me, you and I believe we can go roaming because we haven't been there before. We want to go and see the Westminster, Buckingham Palace, a whole lot more. So there is a market for that. So you and I as indigents are not the primary target for the tourism we're talking about. There are some other people out there who are the foreigners. They are the ones who that is meant for primarily. So this family in the UAE, the UAE was developed, in fact, it was redefined to be a tourism destination globally. So, and it has beaten the likes of the France with the Eiffel Tower. In fact, UAE is everybody's country. If you want to go for a vacation, it has been redefined, relabeled, and branded to be that tourism location for the world. If you go there, they also encourage entrepreneurs to create something that could also join the stream of tourist sites over there. That's how come this Ghanaian family is able to also develop the Ife Gallery over there as well. Because if anybody comes from France or US or UK to UAE, knowing that it is the world's #1 destination for tourism, you should also be counted amongst the list of sites to visit. The Burj Khalifa and Co., the Dubai Palm Islands, these are all parts of the monumental areas. What are you also contributing? The government of the UAE is opening its arms to every entrepreneur, developer, funder to come and then leave a mark on their land. Their land has been developed 80%, 90%, not by themselves alone, by this strategy they deployed to open their arms for foreign direct investments into their land, to develop it to be that global tourism hub. So today, I mean, the benefit of it, they actually earning of the benefits, and one of which is what we see the Ghanaian family doing, making it work. Today in Ghana, we have so many foreigners coming to also create this same monument here for ourselves to see. If you will not create it, they will create it for you.
Somebody will create it for you.
So it's helping us appreciate the tourism marketing that we've been hearing about all this while, and how they all are fundamental in building our economies.
Well, kudos to the Minta family who are doing a great job in the United Arab Emirates. So keep flying the Ghana flag so high. And when you visit Dubai, find that gallery, Fair Gallery. I'm sure you'd have a lot of fun there. And on to our next story, rather on a sad note. Judge Caprio has passed on. So Africans have joined the global outpouring of grief following the death of Frank Caprio, the beloved US judge and social media icon who passed away at the age of 88 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. He's best known as the compassionate face of the viral courtroom show Courts in Providence. Judge Caprio gained worldwide admiration not for being tough, but for being kind. His unique approach to justice, often blending empathy, humor, and life lessons, struck a chord with millions, especially across Africa, where his videos were widely shared and loved. So that's on a really sad note. Did you ever watch any of his videos?
Yeah, interestingly, I got to see one. There was this particular case that the father actually violated the traffic rule. It was red and he bypassed. So he called the daughter and said, "Your father is here because he violated the red light. So I'm going to show you a video." The video was shown. The girl saw the father's car bypass and said, "So you see, if the court is to fine him, the charge, this will be $85 per the violation. But I can do to this for you. It's two things I can do for you. It's either I would help him pay, he will pay the charge for that, which is $86, or I charge him for the court fine or court time, $35. My dear, what will you do?" The lady said, "My father crossed the red lights unintentionally because he was taking me to the hospital." And I was like, "Oh, so you were in the car? You go to the hospital?" Say, "Yes." Okay. So what do you think? So I think that he should be given court time, $35. So what
Obviously, the cheaper one.
Yes, but I mean, how he made it very easy, and very free. Asking the daughter to also share an opinion. I mean, which judge in Ghana would tell your daughter to come and share an opinion on your judgment?
No way.
That's why you see you have to treat your children very, very well.
Yeah.
If your children ask for biscuits, buy it for them. Because one day, if a judge says, "Kwame, come and tell us what my father, this man should go for 10 years," that would be it. So I mean, jovial and humor-filled kind of approach to his work as a judge, and he became very fond of people. And I mean, when I saw that he was detained in the hospital, I realized that there's something wrong somewhere, because he was a kind person. And it's also a lesson for other judges across the world to learn from him. I actually thought it was a joke, I thought it was just a TV show. I realized that it's a real court thing, but it's been televised.
I thought same too.
And for him to be very calm and jovial, even in his work, is a lesson to every judge. Some judges are in the country, they are angry at post. They listen, they will just, I mean, come on, you are a judge. I mean, some people are actually in jail today. If the judge was in a good mood, they wouldn't have been there. So judges, please calm down.
Yeah, be calming down.
They say their wives to have to.
Yeah, I mean,
They
but
have to calm their husbands down too. They can become.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we are smiling about it not because we are happy that he's passed on, but we just
I mean, it's a legacy he has left.
Yeah, it's a legacy.
Nothing can beat it.
Yeah,
it's worth assimilating. I would say that if we're a judge, learn from Judge DiCaprio, because he set a tone of calmness in the courtroom, and he interacts.
Yeah,
he's on, and he asks questions like friendly. Yeah. Oh, how? I mean, the way he does it takes off the pressure, the tense.
Yeah,
because somebody can be tense and will make some utterances that may be improper in the court. Yeah. So how do you distress or calm your witnesses? And make them feel free in expressing themselves? Yeah, because sometimes the way you ask me questions or the way you relate to me makes me feel free to also interact.
Yeah. I was just about saying that I've not seen even one suspect in that box being tensed or making any faces that makes you realize they're afraid. No, it's never happened. I've never seen that.
If a judge is smiling at you and say, "So my friend, per the law is 10 years, so you have to go." Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's smiling at you. Yeah. He's not angry.
Yeah. But I mean, in essence, all we're saying is he was a kind judge. So he just reminds us about life, and regardless of what you have to do when it comes to your job, you just have to show kindness to people. So we just want to add our voices to say, rest in peace, Judge Caprio, and to the family, stay strong. It is well. All right, so we'll go on a quick break. When we get back, we'll get into lifestyle. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you interested in empowering your university through digital storytelling? AAU TV is organizing an intensive 4-day masterclass, a program designed to transform how your university tells its story. Join us from September 9 to 12 this year at the Association of African Universities headquarters in Accra, Ghana, where you will immerse yourself in hands-on training sessions, receive one-on-one feedback from award-winning communication experts, and explore state-of-the-art media facilities. Learn practical digital media production and storytelling techniques to create impactful educational content. Connect with peers, exchange ideas, and walk away with actionable strategies to boost your university's digital presence. Secure your spot today by registering for the AAU TV's masterclass and lead a future of higher education through digital media.
Africa. Keep watching AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
Welcome back from that break, and we're going straight into the lifestyle segment, still on the Hello Africa morning show. And I'm still doing this with my brother, Dr. Ajiman Otre Dako. Do you know Hilda Bassi? What do you remember her for? Okay, but let me tell you something else she's about to do. All right, so Nigerian celebrity chef and restaurateur Hilda Bassi is turning up the heat once again. This time her eyes are set on the Guinness World Record for the largest pot of Nigerian jollof. That's where my disappointment is. The largest pot of Nigerian jollof. It should have been the Ghanaian jollof. Anyway, the Guinness attempt is set to kick off on September 12 in Lagos, but ahead of the big day, Hilda and her team conducted a massive test run using a gigantic 6x6 meter pot. A video making rounds online showed her stirring up a trial batch of jollof while her crew and curious onlookers gathered to observe the process. The update quickly made its way to social media, where reactions have already started pouring in. Now, while many fans praise her ambitions, others raise eyebrows over hygiene concerns. Some users joked about saliva. Saliva being used as extra garnish, while others wondered how such a massive servant would even be distributed. Look, if there's a thing about Ghana, okay, there's a thing, let me tell you, those of you watching, there's a thing about Ghana. We often say that the food that is made for the large gathering, we say it in our local parlance, amansan iduane. That one has a lot of garnishing. There's a lot of things that goes into it that makes the food what it is. That's why when you eat jollof from funerals or parties, they sometimes arguably taste better than the one that you are making in your home. Doc, tell me, what do you think?
I mean, it's incredible when Hilda comes again with this massive approach. You know, Hilda is very smart, and she's done that over years. The first time we heard of a Gates attempt, which was very known, got so much attention, social media, was her attempt with the cooking for a long hours. And that's what sparked the craze and had so many people like the likes of Ifua, Donum, the last Chessman, or doing this, replicating the same thing over and over again. But we see her coming again with a bigger one that also sparks the same craze on the internet. The biggest spots. Come on, that is hilarious. Look at this. Look at this.
I wonder how many people can feed.
Yeah, but you know, she's just trying to get the attention, and she knows how to get it, and she's gotten it. And I mean, everybody will looking forward to see how this is going to be possible and how many people she will feed. And let's see what happens with the record, because the last time she was unsuccessful. And let's see how it's going to go with this time as well. I mean, just to get the attention, social media wise, is the best, is the ultimate, and she got it.
Yeah, well, right. Okay. Anyway, so if you're watching, send in your comments. Let's know what you think, because here's the deal. She's trying to do something many people may not have, attempted. It's a big deal. My first disappointment is that it is not Ghana jollof. It is Nigerian jollof. That's where my first disappointment is. But no problem, because she's Nigerian, so she has the right to do whatever she wants to do. Now, let's look at it from this perspective. She's done the first attempt by cooking for the longest hours. Now she's going to use a very big pot. Well, I don't know how many people can feed from that pot. But beyond this daring attempt, for me, this is what I think. She's coming from that space, even if you think that she's looking for the attention. Her first attempt to break a Guinness World Record, she did it, got the attention, and channeled the attention into doing a lot of positive stuff for her business and for her brand. I'm not in Nigeria, but I have a report that tells me that her eatery is one of the finest places you can dine in when you visit Nigeria. So you can rant about it, you can talk about it, you can say that she's looking for the attention and publicity and all of that. But I can tell you behind all of that attention is some great business acumen in there, because she's doing this with a certain kind of intentionality. So I put it to you as a bold and daring African. If you want to set a record, what would you do, number one? Secondly, if you are able to set the record, even if you are not, and you get this kind of attention, what would you do with it? That's where I'm looking at it from. So I will say that as Africans, when the 12th of September is here and Hilda gets online and she's giving us the live feed of her second attempt to break a Guinness World Record by using the biggest pot, or arguably for some kind of a record like this. Africa, come together. Let's rally behind her. Let's give her the support that she needs to do this. She is one of our own. Some time ago, she visited Ghana and made some rounds, and I believe that we would have to put aside the Ghana-Nigeria rivalry on this one and support each other, and then give her the push that she needs. But if you are also thinking about a Guinness World Record, yeah, I put it to you. go for it. You can do it. You're an African, you're bold, and you are daring. Still on lifestyle. You know about prom, okay? Often happens in the United States where school leavers who attend a dinner go with their partners. Often guys dressed in a black suit or it's a black tie, even whatever. Ladies in gowns and all of those things. Often in the Western world. But if you had the chance, now it's been done in Ghana anyway with some schools. If you had the chance to go to a prom event, would you want to dress in an African designed gown? When I say African designed gown, what I mean is designed by an African, made in Africa. Would you wear one? Now, prom night has always been one of the biggest milestones in the lives of American teenagers. A night filled with glamour, excitement, and unforgettable memories. But in recent years, a new trend has taken the spotlight where African fashion designers are transforming the US prom scene with breathtaking custom-made gowns that are making young women feel like royalty. And that's the word, royalty. Take the story of 18-year-old Brianna Ledo from Florida. With Haitian and Dominican roots, she wanted her prom look to reflect her identity. Instead of settling for a typical gown, she commissioned a dress from Nigeria. The result was a stunning black sequin creation rooted in Yoruba-inspired design. Brianna's TikTok post showcasing the gown went viral, amassing more than 1.1 million views and proving that prom is about more than just a dress. It is about culture, heritage, and self-expression. This wave of interest has opened up a thriving market for African designers. It was reported that in 2025 alone, Nigerian and Ghanaian fashion houses shipped thousands of gowns to the United States, with prices ranging between $600 and $1,000. Now, compared to the United States, where custom gowns can start at $3,500, these African designs are both affordable and uniquely extravagant. Now, just take a look at this video and we'll go into further discussion on it.
Everyone said I looked like a princess. I felt very elegant and very beautiful that night, and I felt proud to wear that dress.
I've had a dream for prom since forever. I feel like that's every girl's dream, is to look their best in prom. All the dresses that I liked and I wanted, pictures on Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok, always from Nigerian designers. The beading, the style of the dress, the way it fits the silhouette of a woman's body that's just like mine. It just made so much sense to choose a Nigerian designer.
This last prom season, we made over 1,000 dresses. We made close to 1.5. 98% of them were shipped to the US. Every single year, the demand gets high.
My biggest concern was, will the dress arrive on time? I've never seen anything like it before. From the head to the floor, I truly knew it was not done in America.
The reason why I think they are patronizing us is because Nigerian designers are very creative. There is no limitation to the styles that we make.
So the whole entire process took about 2 to 3 months before my dress actually came to me. But as soon as I put it on, it fit perfectly. I was like, okay, my dreams have come true.
Back from viewing that video. Now, tell me you were not stunned by those gowns you saw in the video. Elegance, class, and style all embedded in one outfit. Definitely being rocked by African people. All right, so what do you think? Tell me, would you wear a dress to prom, made by Africans, designed in Africa. Your guess is as good as mine. And even beyond the gowns, let's talk about suits, even though we didn't see any suits in the video. Personally, a lot of the suits I wear are made in Ghana. Okay, I have a designer that makes the suits, so most of them are tailored to fit. Would you wear one? And would you be proud when you wear one? I believe as Africans, it's about time that we own our brand, we style ourselves and do the things that we do, making sure that we are promoting ourselves. Let's not shortchange ourselves by not believing in ourselves. We can do anything when we want to, when we decide to. So I just want to encourage you, be proud as an African. Wear Africa, do Africa, anytime when you get the chance. That is how we end the lifestyle segment on the Hello Africa Morning Show, and on a larger note, ending the show for today. Make a date with us in the midweek on Wednesday for the news and then subsequent shows. Follow us on Association of African Universities on Facebook and on YouTube for all of our programs. I was live today with Dr. Ajuman Ochre Dakon, who's taking leave of us briefly because of other important engagements. Thank you for joining us. My name is Philemon Edward. See you next time.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.